Welcome to your deep dive. I am really excited to kind of get into this topic with you. The Enneagram. You shared Ennea type structures with us, and wow, it's dense. But don't worry, we're here to make sense of it all together. I have to admit, I was a little overwhelmed when I first cracked it open, but thankfully, our expert is here to help us navigate.
It is rich material, that's for sure, chock full of insights.
Mm.
And what we're going to uncover here is how our personalities are really strategies for seeking fulfillment, that sense of truly being. But the Enneagram suggests we often look for it in all the wrong places.
I like that. That's a good way to frame it. It's not just about, giving ourselves a label, but understanding the why we do what we do. Now, the source material mentions this fourth way approach. What exactly does that mean?
Good question. The fourth way, as described by Claudio Naranjo, differentiates between our essence, which is our true self,
Yeah.
and our personality. The source material often refers to personality as ego, which is essentially the collection of conditioned patterns we develop over time.
So it's like we have this pure essential self, and then, life kind of shapes the personality we present to the world.
Precisely. And according to this framework, our personalities, or egos,
Hmm.
arise from early experiences of pain and frustration. As children, when faced with difficult emotions, we create patterns to cope. But these patterns, over time, can lead to a sort of, you could almost say, sleepwalking state. We become less conscious and more robotic in our reactions.
That's kind of unsettling when you think about it. So our everyday habits and reactions could be signs of this sleepwalking state.
It's definitely something to consider. And that's where the Enneagram comes in. It's a visual map, and each point represents a different passion or dominant emotional pattern. Now, before we get into all 9 types, the source material emphasizes the core triangle. These 3 passions are really the foundation of the whole system.
Okay, so what are those? What are those foundational passions?
At the top of the triangle, we have sloth. Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but it's described as a fundamental laziness of the psyche. It's a disconnection from our true being, and it actually sets the stage for the other passions.
Sloth. I usually think of that as just being lazy, but you're saying it's a lot deeper than that.
Exactly. It's a loss of contact with our true selves or vitality. And from this lack of grounding arises fear, this second point of the triangle.
Okay, so because we're not fully connected to ourselves, fear creeps in.
Yes. And the source is very specific about this type of fear. It's a fear of being unworthy, not being okay, not having a solid foundation. To cope with this fear, we develop a false self, a mask, or persona. This is where the third passion, pride, comes in.
So we build up this image of ourselves basically to hide the fear.
Absolutely. We begin to identify with this mask, inflating our sense of self to compensate for that lack of true being. It's a classic defense mechanism.
Okay, so we have sloth.